I'm still here at South by Southwest. I just got out of the world premiere of Ash, starring Isaac Gonzalez and Aaron Paul, directed by Flying Lotus. This is one of the most insanely ambitious, low-budget sci-fi films I've ever seen in my entire life, so let's talk about it. Ash follows a woman that wakes up on a distant planet and finds the crew of her space station viciously killed. Her investigation into what happened sets into motion a terrifying chain of events. For starters, I think Flying Lotus directs the shit out of this movie. I think he is an insane creative mind, and this movie proves just that. But I think the core problem of this film is just the fact that the writing is a little bit too bland in the beginning. Now, I think this movie is one of the few recent movies that I've seen that is genuinely low-key, kind of very boring in the first half, but the second half is insanely good. Like, for some reason, recently I've been watching movies where the first half is elite and the second half isn't. But the final act of this movie, I'll talk more about it in just a second here, but the final act is some of the most insane, batshit crazy stuff I've ever seen in my entire life. It is so worth watching the first half, which is a very slow build. It makes every second worth it. Okay, but kind of going back to the beginning, I think Aaron Paul and Isaac Gonzalez are absolutely amazing together. Isaac Gonzalez isn't necessarily great on her own, and neither is Aaron Paul. I think the story works best when both of them are on screen together, or they're talking to each other, or doing something together. It's not much of the movie, but it works when they are there. But visually is where I think this movie truly excels, because at times, it does look overly grainy. The CGI does look a little bit blocky, but in moments where it needs to, it does look great. And none of the CGI in those moments take away from it. But I also think the core problem being the writing is just because there is no real emotional attachment. We kind of start at a very different point. Like, it's kind of the final girl trope of horror or space sci-fi movies, but you start at a different point than you normally would in these types of films. I don't want to give away what point you start at because I think that's a really interesting creative choice that they went with. But you start off at a different spot. And so it lessens a lot of the emotional impact in terms of caring about the different crew members, even just our leader self, Isaac Gonzalez. But she is great in the moments that she does have where we get to see her in, I guess, chemistry moments with other characters that you care about by the end. I'm trying to jump around spoilers here because the trailer literally gives nothing away. Story-wise, I think the writing felt a little bit less unique and a little bit less interesting to me, just because it takes general plot points or kind of like sub ideas from other amazing sci-fi films that I just don't think it obviously executes on a high enough level like those films. Because it is so low budget, it just can't really compete with them. Things that reminded me of kind of like the Aliens franchise. It like a plot of this movie is basically like a sub thing of what's going on in Interstellar of humans can't breathe on the earth, so we're sending people out on a mission. It's like the parts to find a new world. Like, it's the parts of Interstellar that we didn't really get to see. It's like Matt Damon's character, but kind of like what that crew was going through whenever they were exploring new planets. And literally at the end, Isaac Gonzalez's character is like, we knew what we signed up for. Like, we knew we might not come back. We'd age decades and decades before humans ever saw us again. Like, bro, that's exactly what they say in Interstellar. But I'm not here to compare these billion-dollar movies to this low-budget Shudder film. And on that note, I mean, this movie, okay, this is going to sound crazy. It looks like it is low budget in the best way possible. Like, this is a movie that's just not getting made. It's tackling so many things, so many ideas. I cannot believe a film like this even got made. So as many cons as I give it, as many pros as I give it, I still 110% recommend checking out this movie for the fact that this movie exists. Like, this is not a movie that you would normally see, not only in theaters. It's a weird middle ground between it's great that streaming allows movies like this to be made, but it is also something that I think would be really great in a theatrical experience. Not shock levels of recent things like The Substance, but it aims for stuff like that. And I think that deserves a theatrical experience. Seeing it with the crowd makes it worth all of the insane goriness and the creative strides that they had to take to make a film like this even possible on such a low budget. I think overall, I can call this film an amazing low budget film, but my score doesn't really reflect the word amazing because that first half was just a little bit too lackluster to me. Again, that final act is near perfect. The final act itself is like a 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10. But the first half is like a 4, maybe a 5 if I'm pushing it. At the end of the day, Ash is not going to be for everyone, but I think it is a film that all film lovers should go out and support. It is insane what Flying Lotus pulled off with this budget, and also Isaac Gonzalez and Aaron Paul are both really, really great here. High concept, high sci-fi action, alien mix. We don't get movies like this normally. Overall, I'm going to give Ash a 7 out of 10. If you still want to check out Ash, let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.